Why is it that the moment things start to feel real, she suddenly becomes distant, unavailable, and pulls away just when you thought everything was going perfectly? And why does this pattern keep repeating in your relationships, no matter how different the woman seems to be? You've been there. One day you're texting constantly, sharing inside jokes, making plans, and it feels like you've found something special. Then overnight, everything changes. But here's what's really happening that nobody talks about, and by the end of this video, you'll understand the 3 psychological triggers that cause this behavior. But more importantly, you'll learn the counterintuitive response that actually works. But first, let me tell you about the biggest mistake men make when this happens. Because if you're making this mistake, everything else I'm about to share won't matter. Most guys think women pull away because they did something wrong. They analyze every text, every conversation, every moment, trying to figure out what they messed up. But that's completely backwards. The truth is much more complex, and it involves understanding something most people never learn about female psychology. Women don't pull away because you're not good enough. They pull away because of 3 specific emotional triggers that activate their self-protection instincts. And here's the thing. Once you understand these triggers, you'll never see relationship dynamics the same way again. The first trigger is something I call emotional radar. Women have an incredible ability to sense emotional unavailability, even when you think you're being completely present. But here's where it gets interesting, and this might surprise you. You can be physically present, responding to texts, making plans, and still be emotionally unavailable. She feels this at a subconscious level. Maybe you're protecting yourself from getting hurt. Maybe you're keeping one foot out the door. Maybe you're so focused on impressing her that you're not actually being authentic. Whatever it is, her emotional radar picks it up. But the real problem isn't that you're emotionally unavailable. The real problem is what happens next. And this is where most relationships fall apart. When she senses this emotional distance, she starts to pull back to protect herself. It's not conscious. It's not a game. It's pure instinct. But here's the crucial part you need to understand before I explain the other 2 triggers. The second trigger is consistency, but not in the way you think. This isn't about texting her every day or always being available. This is about emotional consistency, and it's much more subtle than most people realize. One day, you're fully engaged, present, making her feel like she's the most important person in your world. The next day, you're distracted, distant, treating the connection like it's optional. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, and it's incredibly destabilizing for emotional bonds. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface, and this connects to something deeper about human attachment patterns. She's not just responding to your inconsistency, she's responding to a pattern that probably started in childhood. Most people have some form of attachment anxiety, and inconsistent emotional presence triggers that old wound. But the third trigger is the most important one, and it's the one that determines whether she comes back or disappears forever. The third trigger is about timing and emotional readiness, but it's not what you think. It's not just about whether she's ready for a relationship. It's about whether she feels safe enough to be vulnerable with you. And here's the key part that changes everything. Sometimes a woman pulls away, not because of anything you've done wrong, but because her feelings for you are getting too intense too quickly. The depth of her emotions scares her because it means risking real heartbreak. But most men completely misread this situation. They think she's losing interest when she's actually protecting herself from caring too much. They think she doesn't want them when she's actually afraid of how much she does want them. And this misunderstanding leads to the biggest mistake you can make in this situation. Now, here's where most people go wrong when she starts pulling away, and if you're making this mistake, you're actually pushing her further away without realizing it. The natural response is to chase harder, text more, try to spend more time together, become more attentive. Essentially, do more of whatever you think will pull her back. But this is exactly the wrong response, and here's why. When you chase someone who's pulling away, you confirm their fears about the relationship feeling overwhelming or unsafe. You prove that their instinct to create distance was correct. But the counterintuitive response that actually works will surprise you. The most effective response to someone pulling away is to give them space while remaining consistently yourself. Not cold space, not punishing space, but confident, understanding space that demonstrates something crucial about your character. But here's the part that's absolutely critical, and if you miss this, none of the space in the world will matter. While you're giving her space, you cannot put your life on hold waiting for her decision. You cannot become emotionally unavailable to other opportunities. You cannot stop growing and building the life you want. Because here's what really happens when you do this correctly. You demonstrate that you're secure enough in yourself to love someone without trying to control them. You show that you understand the difference between love and attachment. You prove that you're the kind of person who creates emotional safety rather than emotional pressure. But most importantly, you give her the opportunity to miss you. And here's something most people don't understand about human psychology. People can't miss you if you're always chasing them. They can't choose you if you never give them the space to make that choice. They can't come back to you if you never actually let them leave. The women who are worth your time and energy will always come back to consistent, authentic, emotionally available presence. They'll come back to someone who demonstrates through their actions that love doesn't have to feel overwhelming or unsafe. But here's the most important part, and this is what separates the men who build lasting relationships from the ones who keep repeating the same patterns. You use this time when she's pulling away to become the person who can handle the depth of connection you both want. You work on your own emotional availability. You develop the consistency that creates safety. You build the confidence that doesn't need constant reassurance. Because here's the truth that most people never learn. The right person will always come back to the right version of you, but you have to become that version first. The truth about why she pulls away isn't complicated. She pulls away when the connection doesn't feel emotionally safe, when she senses inconsistency, or when her feelings are developing faster than her sense of security. Your job isn't to convince her to stay. Your job is to become someone worth coming back to. And that's how you build connections that actually last.